All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Digital Contractor Podcast. Man, I got a real treat for you this week. I brought in Mr. Eric Brower, the Chief Revenue Officer for Lead Revenue, and this dude talks to probably more contractors than anybody I know other than me. And he's got a lot to share with you this week, and we're going to talk about planning ahead for success in 2022. And man, it is good to have you on the show, brother.
Brian, great to see you. And great to be on the show as well.
So, we were talking a little bit before we got on here about, just some of the challenges that we see, contractors facing right now and how they can possibly put themselves in the best scenario for 2022. And we started to dig into that a little bit. I wanted to save it so that everybody could hear it. But what are you hearing from contractors about, some of the people who are putting the strategies in place for 2022 versus some of those people that are maybe hesitant to put some things in place for 2022 at this point? And how can they overcome that to put themselves in the best situation?
Well, when you look at it and break it down, there's 113 days left in the year. In the contractors that are already starting to look ahead, they're looking for two things. Number one, they want to end 2021 on a high note, and we can help them do that. And then obviously they want to start out 2022 with a bang, right? So, somewhere between right now in October, that's how you're going to lay the groundwork for 2022. But in the meantime, where you can really move that needle is heading into the final days here of 2021 and end on that strong note. So the ones that are focused on that are seeing great success.
Yeah, I agree, man. And being somebody that runs a company that's in construction, one of the things that I really try to focus our team on is staying consistent. Like making sure that we're in the right situation. And the one thing I want to throw out there to everybody that's listening is, between now and the end of the year, let's say you're in a cold weather climate and you've got, possibly till Thanksgiving, sometimes a little bit longer than that. It just depends on the weather. But, those companies that are able to, bail some customers out of situations, maybe they've got a job that needs to be completed that they're unable to find somebody to do. You're able to deliver, a great job, a great experience for a customer. I experienced this last year. We were able to do a lot at the end of the year last year. We actually ran a lot of paid ads. We were able to capitalize on quite a bit of work, and we met a lot of new clients that maybe those projects pushed until 2021. But what ended up happening, man, is we had such a strong, fourth quarter from the visibility and the interactions that we had with all these customers, whether it was completing jobs or meeting new customers, that guess who the company was that they thought of first in 2021 when new projects came up. And so I want to drill that into everybody is like, one of the things that you can do, from now till the end of the year to really plan ahead for success in 2022 is to be and stay visible online, through outbound, calls, emails, whatever it is, even if it's just saying hello to people. You've got to keep those connections with your customers top of mind, because if you don't, somebody else is going to be completing their job at the end of the year here, and you're not going to have the opportunity to do that work again, right? Somebody else is going to steal that relationship from you, and you're not going to be able to recover it if they do a great job. If they do a great job, why would they call you back again, right? So one of the major keys, I believe, of planning for success in 2022 is actually how you finish 2021. Would you agree?
100%. You're building that foundation for 2022. And you mentioned the customer experience. That is a critical element for any company. It's all about the customer experience. So how can you be that solution for those people that are out there looking for it right now? And then number one, how are they going to find you, right? The customer is not going to take action and engage with your company unless they're challenged to. And that's where that consistency and laying that foundation is going to determine whether you're going to, have a record type of year as we close this thing out, and then set that foundation for next year and have an even better year.
Yeah. So talking about some of those things that are, maybe missing for a lot of contractors, the things that we see the very best contractors doing versus those that don't. And let's focus on, from a technology standpoint and a marketing standpoint, what are some of the things that you see, the best contractors that get the best results for us at Lead Revenue, that are getting the best results from us at Lead Revenue? What are some of the things that stand out that they are doing that maybe other people aren't?
Number one is really focusing on the target markets. From Google My Business to either an ad strategy, but narrowing in. In Google My Business, we're able to produce so many results. The more content that we can put on your Google My Business listing, the more map searches that you show up in, and that's how you really grow. But when you narrow down the 16 cities for each Google My Business listing that you can have, really spend some time. What do those cities look like? Where are they? Where do you want to be showing up in the map search section of Google? Because that's where your clients are going to find you. So the ones that are having the most success, they understand and very clearly, and they're looking at it, where exactly their customers are coming from. And then we're helping them move that needle.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that comes to mind for me, man, and you'll probably chuckle like I am when I say this, is like, one of the things that I see them doing the best, those contractors that really separate themselves, is answering the phone. Like, it sounds crazy, but it's like, man, if you could just answer the phone. So some of those things that I think, planning ahead for 2022 is make sure that you're implementing the basics, man. Getting the phone answered, making sure you have proper follow-up, making sure that every lead is actually getting its deserved attention, that these people are being called back. And for me, the things that I see contractors doing that really separate them is, leveraging the right technology. First and foremost, you got to get attention, which is marketing related, right? So, you got to be online, you have to be on social media, you got to be present. The very best are building a personal brand and creating that relationship digitally, the know, like, and trust factor, even before they meet the client in person. If they can go out and watch a YouTube video of you or watch a Facebook video, something like that, they're going to be more likely to do business with you. But then once they connect with your company, you really have to have a technology-driven process or a systematic process that allows that customer experience to flow through. We were just talking about this yesterday on one of the calls that I was on, but the Fast Connect service that we have, right? Being able to patch that lead straight into, a salesperson that can pick up the phone and connect with, the customer within 30 seconds while they just put their information on your website. These are things to consider as you go into 2022. Like, what does that process look like for your company right now? And then what does it look from an ideal scenario? And get these customers and prospects involved in the customer experience. This is coming from somebody who works in the construction industry every single day. It is probably one of the biggest things that's wrong with our industry, is that we put the client on the outside of the experience and we try to tell them how it's going to go. And the very best companies are going to bring them inside the experience and create joint control in that process. And they're going to have technology to drive that process forward every step of the way. And that starts with, being visible online, having the right opportunities, and being able to create the right opportunities through marketing. And, for those companies out there that might be smaller, when you're a small company, sales is everything, right? Being able to create sales. Well, once you get to that plateau where you've generated a decent amount of sales, the next step in that process to grow your company to the next level is you got to become a marketing company, right? Marketing is a more advanced and consistent version of sales. So, how have you experienced, Eric, with the customers that we've brought on? And I know I'm one of them, but I want you to speak to, some of the other clients that we've brought on. What you see in the owner operator scenarios in construction companies is, they sell a lot. And so their numbers go up, but then they've got to go project manage everything. And the numbers go down because they can't sell and manage the projects at the same time. So what marketing's been able to do for us, and I know you've probably got a ton of other examples that it's done for other people, is it's been able to reduce or eliminate those dips, right? Where there's still activity coming in while maybe the owner operator is out there in the field, there's still opportunities coming that he or she doesn't have to go generate them. When they're done managing those projects, there are leads waiting for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, to your point, it ends up, you need to think a little bit different. So, number one, as you're heading into the new season and things wind down, as an owner operator, one of the most important things or key elements would be, what does it look like to do business with your company? Obviously, digital marketing and everything that we do is going to have that constant, flow of inbound opportunities coming into your business. But what does it look like when somebody calls your company? Mystery shop. When was the last time you mystery shopped to see how long does it take to have the phone answered? Where are the holes that we can sort of fill and move the business to the next level? And then most importantly, if you're in a state where you have a season or in a region, how can you be different? How can you fill up that calendar heading into the next year? But when you take I guess so it's twofold. Let's think a little bit different. How can we book that calendar so when the season fires back up again, you're already full. You have a full book of business. And then number two, mystery shop your company. What does it look like when somebody, fill out one of the form submissions, take a look, see how long it takes for somebody to call you back so you know exactly what's going on in your own business.
Yeah. And I think, customer experience is definitely lacking in the construction world. It's not something that a lot of companies focus on. But when you do it, man, you will stand out immediately, right? You will stand out very quickly in an industry that doesn't put a whole lot of emphasis on that. And, from the standpoint of how do you get people to know that the experience is different, reviews is a big piece of that puzzle, right? So when you're planning ahead for 2022, if you don't have a process inside your company that allows you to instantly generate a request for a Google review or a Facebook review or whatever method you want to use, you need to, implement something that allows you to be able to do that in an automated fashion. And you can do that by integrating that into the process of invoicing, whether you use QuickBooks or some other software to be able to do that. But those are some of the critical elements that stand out to me when it comes to customer experience, planning ahead, and then being able to broadcast that customer experience. There's really no better way to do that than being able to generate reviews. When it comes to marketing specifically, man, like, what do you see as the trend going into the off season? How are people planning, so that they can come out of the gate on fire in 2022? Maybe walk the listeners and viewers through what the timeline looks like and when they should be taking action to be able to set themselves up best for 2022.
So from a current client standpoint, content creation is going to be key. How do we keep that content flowing, from now until things fire back up so that you have your positioning in place? So when you enter the next season, you're still showing up in all the map searches that you want to show up in, et cetera. How do we keep building the brand for your company during that off season? For those that may be listening that aren't a client and you're like, hey, maybe I should take a look at this. It does take us some time to get everything moving. So to start now, between now and October, we'll have you ready to go in a 30 to 45 day period. But most importantly, there are elements of our program and strategies that we use that if you're looking to end the year strong, we can help you with immediately and use your existing infrastructure. So really, as you're heading in to 2022, we really need to focus on your brand, on your target market. How can we get more business in? How can we be different than the competition, right? And that's how you're going to move the needle.
Yeah, I think you made a couple good points there, man. I really wanted to lean into this one during this conversation because I think you're pretty familiar with those companies and those individuals that do a great job with content, right? That are producing high quality content or just content on a consistent basis, right? With something as simple as an iPhone. For me, it's been life changing to be able to create content and to be able to put that content out there. I've used this example, I think, twice this morning in a conversation, and this gives me a third opportunity. But, we had an opportunity this year that popped up for a very large job that came off of a YouTube video that I did 2 years ago. And so, these people literally commented on one of our YouTube videos and said, "Hey, we're interested in talking to you about this exact process that you do and having you guys do some work for us." And so we always say content is king, right? And it is, creating that consistency in how you show up and creating valuable content is the best decision that you could make for your company, right? Because in 2021 and beyond, people don't have to do business with people that they don't know, like, and trust. There's just too many ways to be able to find another company or another option out there. If you don't see what you're looking for, if you don't find what you're looking for, you can just move on to the next company. And so, I want to get your perspective on, some of the ways that contractors can create content. I've got plenty to add to it, but I want to get your perspective on some of the ways that you see contractors creating content that are really simple ways to do it. And what are some of the topics that maybe they could be talking about that would be useful for their audience and for their prospects?
So I would center the topic around the end user, the exact type of work that you're going after. So, for example, if you're looking for it could be steps to maintaining the 5 critical steps to maintaining your parking lot. If you're going after maintenance, whatever it is that you're going after, especially in the off season. But the most important thing within that content, as we create it, we want to be talking about the cities that you want to service. But number one, we want to get that information out there first about the product or service that you want to really, really focus on. And take the approach of providing the information first, because we already know the people that want to do business with you, they're looking for information before they find the actual solution. So by making you the providing the information first, making you that source of information, and then the solution second is a winning combination.
Yeah, creating yourself as the authority in the space is a big one. And I think what you hit on there is one of the most popular topics. If you go to YouTube and you need to know how to do anything in the world, what are you going to type in? How to fix my lawnmower, how to seal coat my parking lot, how to seal coat my driveway, whatever it is. So if you can provide that type of knowledge and create content around that. And again, people, a lot of times I think they're hesitant to create content because they think it needs to be some like overproduced, really well done. I got to have a full video crew to be able to do it. And that's just not true, right? We all carry around devices these days that can produce content. You can find the applications that allow you to do a little bit of editing pretty easy. But I would urge you guys to, speak on the things that are urgent to your customers. Give them the answers to the most popular questions that they would have, right? Like, so if you're going to pave my parking lot, walk me through how that works. We'll do a video that you can share to your audience on exactly how your company works with a client to be able to phase the project in a sense, in a way that doesn't impact the traffic as much as it possibly could if you didn't have a plan. When you're able to connect with people and show them the way that you do business, and they are able to watch that video and they can gain some trust and they can actually start to like you as an individual and as a company before they even reach out, the close rate for those prospects and customers goes through the roof, right? Because they are already leaning in the direction of wanting to do business with your company. Maybe talk about how your company was started, right? Like what motivated you to get started in the first place. People love to hear those stories. They love to see the personal side of companies. For me, sharing some things about my family is something that I'm comfortable with. Not all people are, but those are all ideas that you guys can be sharing. And without a doubt, content creation should be in your plan for 2022. It's going to become exponentially more critical as the time goes on. We like to say you should really be a media company first, and whatever it is that you do second. If you're a roofing company, you should find a way to be a media company first and then a roofing company second, because the way that you are going to win at sales and marketing is by showing people. And I would add to this, I talked about this morning on my podcast, was the idea of story selling, right? And what that means is talking about specific examples of how people have had successful experiences working with your company. Maybe you do testimonials, but you're helping people understand that there's a reason why people are doing business with you, and it is because you make it simple. And if you can communicate that story, if you can tell that story, you will be successful at creating an environment where customers are naturally attracted to you, right? Where you don't necessarily have to do all the outbound activity. It just starts to come back to you naturally by you telling the story. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, stories sell. So the more that you can tell your story, people want to get to know your team. What does it look like? Who's the manager? To your point, Brian, on what does the process look like? When you can tell that story, let them know, your customer, when they know exactly what to expect as things, progress and they enter into the job, then it takes the uncertainty that heading into it, because now they know that, hey, listen, I'm going to have a minimal disruption. They're going to be here, this many days, and then we're going to be done. So, knowing what it looks like to do business with you is critical, and being able to tell that from a very quick story, in laying it out in steps so they understand, it'll lead you and help you close more deals.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, man. It is absolutely imperative for people to understand the steps of how that works, how to communicate it. If you don't know what story selling is, go Google it and you can look it up and it'll give you a great idea. And those people that know how to tell captivating stories, they're going to generate a ton of business. People are going to feel part of their businesses. We try to do a great job of that at the Pavement Group of, just welcoming people into it, right? It's like, just showing people what we do every day, introducing people to our team, kind of putting them front and center, making sure that customers are connected to them in a very personal way, whether it be by jumping on Zoom calls or putting videos out about them or whatever it may be. So good stuff, man. Well, any final thoughts before we let everybody go here?
I would say just, be accessible. That's something we do in our company. Everything's a direct dial. Any one of our clients at any time can reach me just on my cell phone. So be accessible, and to your clients. And that's a game changer in any industry. Just be there, especially as the face of your company, as the owner. Be accessible to your clients. You'll have great success. But end these final 113 days strong, and start out 22 with a bang.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, man. It is, we call it playoff season in the construction world. It is here. The playoffs have arrived, and, it comes down to, my advice for the rest of the year, guys, is there's a lot going on out there. Be able to focus, be able to block out the noise, stay disciplined, and get as much done as you possibly can in this period of time without ever losing track of the fact that those people that have the best last impression, whatever it is that they leave this season thinking about your company, that is going to be able to be a launch pad for next year. So if you can leave the customer experience with every single customer you interact with in the fourth quarter of this year, if you can leave those customers happy on their final project with you, you're going to start 2022 off with a bang. So, well, brother, I appreciate you stopping by today, man, and spending some time. I guarantee you this won't be the last time that you'll be hanging out with me here, and look forward to the next one, brother. Thank you.
Me too. Take care.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, this is the Digital Contractor Podcast. We will see you for episode 10 next week, right around the same time. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Appreciate you.